show these off real quick. I don't remember which ones are which. So this is just a simple one. There's a dead body over there. So this produces one at a time, but not all together. So put them here. They're forced to stack up 3 at a time. Like that. This piece is a sensor that is wired to all 3 of these pusher blocks. So as soon as something is in the block in front of the sensor, it activates all 3 of these. So it waits for all 3 to stack up, then it pushes them. Come drop down here and go into the 3 goal areas. They're not welded together, they're not in any specific shape, it's just learning how to stack 3 of them together. Go to a harder one, maybe this one? Yeah, this one's interesting. Okay. So need 2 whites on the outside of gray. There's only 1 producing white, 1 producing gray over there. These ones are welders. Anything that touches these connections underneath them is welded together. There's a sensor connected to a pusher. There's where the gray comes out. It's kind of hard to see with all the stuff in the way. It's a 2-part welder right here. A sensor that looks down, connected to this pusher. And when things are connected, you don't always need a track in every single spot. So to reduce the number of blocks used, you can skip some sometimes. I wish there was a way to play this in slow motion, but there's not. So one comes out at a time. It is stopped by this piece until there's 2 of them. One here and one here. That sets off the sensor, which pushes the back one to this track, while the front one continues that way. They're both sat there until the next one comes in and pushes them. Let's see it from a different angle. So this one sits here. Oh, get out of the way before it knocks me off the ledge. Okay, so that one sits right there on the left side of that welder until these ones come along. That first block is pushed over here and connected to the far side of the gray, which is then moved back over. So now we have a full part. There we go. It's moved down here. And once we get to this part, it's taken by these over to here, led down to that goal. There's also a sensor so that as soon as one passes right here, sets off the sensor, which will activate this pusher, which will hit the next one, pushing it on a different track, leading it to this goal. And that just makes them alternate. So creating the same shape with one piece on either side of it, and then separating it out into 2 different goals. Oh, this one is building a rocket. This one's kind of fun. Okay, so you have... Oops. Like the booster, the body of the rocket, and then the cone. But you need booster, 3 bodies, and then the cone. So they all come out at first. I have these stacked up with just regular blocks, not conveyor, so they'll stack up to 3 at a time, just like that first one. They'll trigger that sensor, then it'll push all 3 into this line. Meanwhile, the cone needs to go on the top. I have this extra long, so it takes more time to get there. But it'll all feed eventually onto this one single conveyor belt and stack on top of each other to make the rocket. Booster comes down, those are stacking up. They get in front of that. Now over here, as this next cone is coming, I have it just trip a sensor. As these are falling, they're all welded together into one piece. And as that is coming closer, it triggers a pusher to push this off of a stationary block and onto the conveyor belt. So let's see the last cone come down. That cone over there triggers the sensor. And it's pushed off. There's the booster. 1, 2, 3 body parts on the cone. They're welded in place as they fall. And the next piece is let down. I think this was the one that was a pain for me. No, this is one I actually really like. Okay. So that's the piece we need. This 4-way with the red stamps on it. These are ones that you don't create. They're already on the map. They will place a stamp on the outside of these blocks. Only one production. Just those blocks. Have it set up again to 1, 2, 3 stack them and then pull them away. So it'll weld 3 together at a time and push them to right here. There's a sensor looking down. So as soon as this one is in place from those 3, that will activate this pusher, pushing the next piece off of that central track, down this side track, and it will be placed on one side of it, triggering that other sensor right next to it, which will activate this next pusher to push another one on the other side, doing the same thing. These 3 weld together the main vertical piece. Once those are in place, they are instantly welded to the main piece as the arms, I guess, the sides of it. And since there's nothing holding that there, as soon as this piece is in place, it's welded and it moves the entire piece off of that platform. As soon as it is past this area, all those sensors are freed up and all of this resets, because those pushers will stay in place as long as that sensor is triggered. So it'll hold up production of all of the rest of this until that piece is moved, and then it starts again. 1, 2, 3. They're pushed. Oops, wrong button. 1, 2, 3. Those are all welded together now, being pushed into place. More are coming out. They are about to trigger this sensor looking down, which will close this pusher. It's just getting that in the right place at the right time, which pushes that off this way. That'll push it to right here on the side and weld it, also triggering this sensor, which will now push this pusher over. Kind of see through the middle there, kind of. And over here. And because those blocks are still in front of the sensors, you can see these conduit lines are lit up, meaning they're triggered. These pushers will keep in place until the blocks move away from that sensor. So now this one is coming here. Weld it on. Now we have our shape. Let that drop. Move on conveyor belts. Just spin once around the corner. Get stamped. Make a 90-degree turn. Get stamped again. And straight in. That's our goal. One, two, three. That pusher gets activated. Comes this way. Activates the other pusher to come this way. That's all being stopped. Welded the piece to go on. Now this makes the next one while this is rotating and getting its stamps. And that's our gold piece. Try to find that one crazy one I was doing. Which one was it? There it is. Okay. This is super convoluted. This is spitting out single square cube blocks. This is a machine that comes on the map. I don't place it. Those are like grinders, making a 45-degree cut in it. And we'll need those to make this shape. We'll need a set of 3 facing that direction, another set of 3 facing that direction, and then a set of 4 uncut blocks across the top. And this is super complicated, but there is one part that I really like, actually. 3 will come out at a time and be welded here. Through these rotators, they flip around and are sent into the cutter. After 2 come through, sensors over here, this is a pusher with a welder attached to it. So when the first one gets here, this will actually weld a 4th piece on. Can I get in here? Can't really see it. Try the other side. Not any better. So there's 3 pieces. There's a 4th one that is already connecting where it's already connected. But when that trigger is... when the sensor is triggered, it'll push this to be 4 welders long. So as soon as it hits 3, it's pulled away, it's flipped around. Now in that one, when this first block hit that sensor, it made this one 4 long. Because it's 4 long, it's too long to be rotated through these areas. So instead, it just keeps going forward. Then, I'm stuck on things. Then it's sent here on its own rotating and delivery path. There's no way to rewind. I have to set it over every time. That one comes there, triggers the extra, the fourth one. And then as it passes, it resets to 3. Now these, the first one as it's falling hits a sensor that pushes that to the side. These are spun again to get into the correct orientation. This long one from the top. Is fed down here on top of these. They are welded. As this one is falling, this sensor does double duty. It pushes that one to the side. It also takes the finished product, pushes it that way, feeds it into the goal. This is the one that took me about 2 hours of pulling my hair out until I finally figured out what I was doing. And it is so complicated that I know this isn't the best answer, but once I figured it out, it was really fun. All right. Thanks.